I think boxes are fascinating. Boxes like this one. What's inside? What could it be? What awaits when you open the box? And I've always thought theaters are a kind of magic box. For me, one of the most magical moments in the theater is the moment when the lights go down. When they come back up again, audience members are transported. You might end up in Denmark, the moment after the king has been killed by his own brother. You might end up in Chicago and find that you're part of a struggling family that wants to use an insurance check to improve its circumstances. You might be in Salem, Massachusetts at a time when members of your community are about to be accused of being witches. You might be anywhere if you're in a theater. And I think black box theaters are especially magical. I'm in one right now. Studio 4, a performing space at the University of Missouri. This space is used by the Department of Theater and Performing Arts for classes and performances. Now, according to Wikipedia, a black box theater is a simple performance space, varying in size, and is usually a square room with black walls and a flat floor. The simplicity of the space is used to create a flexible stage. The black box is a relatively recent innovation in theater. Black box theaters have their roots in the European avant-garde of the early 20th century. They became popular and increasingly widespread in the 1960s as rehearsal spaces. Almost any large room can be transformed into a black box with the aid of paint or curtains, making black box theaters an accessible option for theater artists. Sets are simple and costs are lower, which works for nonprofit and low-income companies. The black box is also considered by many to be a place where pure theater can be explored, with more human and fewer technical elements to focus on. This black box I'm sitting in, Studio 4, came about the way that many black boxes come about. The performances that happen here require simple sets, and it's a place where pure theater can be explored. But this space wasn't always a black box. It used to be a swimming pool when it was part of the McKee Gymnasium. So I'm going to tell you the story of how an abandoned swimming pool became a black box theater. And I'm going to wonder at the end if there are any lessons about life we can take from this story. So let's take a look at McKee Gym, the building which contains what is now Studio 4. McKee Gymnasium is a stately 3-story building with a slate roof and white limestone walls, which sits behind a row of oak trees halfway between Memorial Union and Rollins Street on Hitt Street's east side. In 1889, Mizzou introduced the first physical education class for women. Each semester, 100 women performed calisthenics in Jesse Hall, maneuvering around 3 posts that ran through the middle of a converted classroom. By the early 1920s, 650 women per semester were taking turns jumping and stretching in the space. The men, on the other hand, had an entire gymnasium to themselves. The men's gym was off limits to women except on Saturday mornings and 2 evening hours per week, and women were not allowed to use the lockers or baths. Meanwhile, people started getting interested in women's sports. The 1910s saw the start of field hockey, indoor baseball, and track and field clubs for women. Then, in 1923, Mizzou women got a gym, the $150,000 new women's gym. In the same year, MU hired Mary McKee as head of physical education for women. Equipped with a pool, the new women's gym was home to an upsurge in athletic activity. The Mermaids Club, a women's swim club, was formed in 1926. They gave annual exhibitions with the men's swimming team that proved so popular that ticket sales from the inaugural event paid for a new set of bleachers in the gym. Now, that little clip I just showed you was actually not from the Women's Swim Club. It was an Esther Williams movie, but you get the idea. Eventually, Mizzou stopped segregating athletic facilities by gender, and McKee was converted into offices. The swimming pool was drained and covered. Then, in the mid-90s, McKee Gym, now named after Mary McKee, was turned over to Fine Arts. Dr. Pat Atkinson was the department chair of the theater department at the time. When the space in McKee Gymnasium was offered to the Fine Arts Group, Dr. Atkinson saw the opportunity to convert the abandoned pool into space for theater, classrooms, and rehearsals. Eventually, the corner playhouse that the theater department had been using for performances was reallocated. This space, at the time a classroom and rehearsal space, was transformed yet again into a performance space. Studio 4 was born. A wide variety of performances take place here. When I was considering coming to Mizzou as a PhD student, I made what would be the first of many campus visits. My first visit coincided with the staging of the Mizzou New Play Series, a series of new plays performed in concert reading style, plays written by student playwrights, directed by student directors, and brought to life by student actors. Columbia community members and faculty participate in various roles as well. My first day on campus, I attended a concert reading of a play by Dr. David Crespi, the man who was destined to become my academic advisor, though I didn't know that at the time. See what I mean when I say you never know exactly what you might find in a black box? Sitting in a chair in this theater, I found a man who would champion my academic cause and help me chart my course through my PhD program. When I came to Mizzou as a student last fall, August of 2019, I volunteered to participate in the Life and Literature Performance Series. I served as associate producer, and here in Studio 4, we produced a series of plays inspired by the challenges associated with climate change. I was honored to work with Professor Sherry Sampson, among many others. And then last January, I got to participate in the Mizzou New Play Series as a playwright myself. And 3 of my plays, a 10-minute play, a 1-act, and a full-length, were all read right here. You never know what you're going to find in a black box, what surprises might await you, what challenges you might encounter. So what have I learned about life as I've explored the black box that we at Mizzou call Studio 4? First, I'll give a shout out to Mary McKee. She was willing to introduce new ideas to the university about women and their role in athletic programs. She ended up getting a building named after her. I think we need to be willing to challenge the systems we're part of and see where that gets us. Second, I think there are few things that are more depressing than an abandoned swimming pool. I'll give a shout out to Dr. Pat Atkinson. He was able to look at the covered over pool, the shell of an aquatics program, and see a way to give it new life. The lesson, I think, is that rebirth is possible for a space and also for a person. I mean, here I am at the age of 64 working on my PhD. I intend to transform myself in exactly the way this space has been transformed. Who knows what might come out of my black box? And finally, I'll give a shout out to our department chair, Dr. Heather Carver. She's an amazing force of nature and oversees the many programs that take place in this space. The Life and Literature Performance Series, the New Play Series, and the many other activities and functions that happen right here. Thanks, Dr. Carver. So I'm going to close by asking you to take a look at your black box. Maybe if you'll investigate, you'll find a way to transform it into something miraculous and amazing. And who knows what you'll find when you open up that box.